Well, aloha. This is Nicki Keohohou, co-founder of the DSWA. We're so happy that you joined us tonight. So, and as we start, if you could please just type into the chat box your name, where you're calling from. Oh, Kentucky, beautiful. I love your country. I went to the Louisville Bat place. So I've been in your city, if that's where you're from. Grand Forks, North Dakota. My mother was from North and South Dakota. She loves it. She said you can trust anybody from North or South Dakota. She always told us that. And we went to the North and South Dakota picnic every year. And Jennifer from Ohio. We're from in Ohio. I love your corn, by the way. You have fabulous corn. And Toronto, Canada. Joan, thank you for joining us. Regina, and from Southeast Washington. Ah, I know right where you are. And we have Australia on the line with us tonight. Thank you, Joan, for calling in from Australia. I'm glad that you're here. So we got a good group tonight, and we're just 1 minute to start. So I'm going to get everything all set over here. And you can type in the chat box if you'd like, if questions that you have, and I will bring us back around to those questions at the end tonight. So let's see if I can move this bar. And tonight's class is going to be mastering conversations. So we're going to get all this down pat about our conversations that lead to appointments. How many of you would like to have more appointments? More appointments to buy product? More appointments to be able to join your team? That's good. So we're going to get an opportunity to get people engaged. We'll talk about it from a lot of different angles tonight. I'm so glad that you were all here with us, and we've got a good group of folks, and a lot of you, it's your first time. So thank you for being with us. This is really a good thing. Okay. So let's get started. The importance of effective communication. I think we all know that communication is effective. If we want to have better relationships, we want to have better results. A lot of things that we can do to have more effective communication and learn how to do that. But the biggest thing, and the importance of effective communication, is so that we can understand others. It's understanding others, what they're thinking, what they're feeling, what's going on with them. Because people don't always tell you exactly what's happening, but when you ask good questions, you get a better understanding of where they are. So when we understand people better, we're more effective at being understood. So look at how, if things aren't going well with the communication that you're having with somebody, you maybe are not communicating in their style and their language and what's important to them. And we're going to talk more about that in a minute here. So understanding their style, that's why a big factor in mastering conversations is to understand who I'm dealing with. And the behavioral styles that we talk about are called DISC, and I'll tell you more about that at the end of the call today. But just because you even know what DISC is doesn't mean that you are practicing good skills around that. And maybe you know who you are, but really what's more important is to understand who you're talking with. So D people are dominant people. They're outgoing and task-oriented. A D person might come into this conversation with you and they, what's the bottom line? Can we cut to the chase? That's some of the language that they might use. They're very buttoned up and look very professional generally. How you speak to them is going to be different. An I person is very influential. They're outgoing. They're people-oriented. They love bling. They like bright, shiny objects, rhinestones on the shoes, and are generally pointy. Do not look comfortable. I'm just saying. So it's good to know who you're doing. Look at their shoes. Look at their hair. Look at their clothing. Look how fast they talk. I's and D's talk fast. S's and C's have a much more moderate pace. So if you're going 90 miles an hour and you're standing there waiting for the person to walk in for this interview and you jump out of your chair and you squeeze them and say, I'm so excited to see you, and they're a very reserved person, you might have just shot yourself in the foot and they don't want to stay. So you've got to assess things, watch how fast they walk, how they move to when they get to you. You're going to learn a lot about them. S people are steady individuals. They're reserved and people oriented. Reserved. So that means they're not going to jump up and hug you. They're going to put their hand out and have a kind of a light handshake. That would be more their style. C people are much more cautious, much more analytical. In the olden days, we used to say you could tell a C man because he had a pocket protector on. He didn't want to get ink on his shirt, you know what I mean? But they don't use those too much anymore. I don't think I've seen one in 20 years. So a C person just is going to look a little more reserved, and they speak a little more reserved, and they say, I'm not going to decide today. I'm going to need a couple days to think about this. Don't rush them. They're reserved and very task oriented, and they have their lists, and they're going to end on time, and you got to end on time too. So that's one factor to being more effective in your communication. You want to build rapport quickly. How do you build rapport quickly? Be more like that person. Doesn't mean you change who you are. It just means you are more aware of who they are and how they show up in the world. And by the way, you can get a good handle on that when you call somebody and you get their voicemail. Listen to their voicemail, and that'll give you an indication of their style. It's generally the woman that leaves the voicemail. So if this is her voicemail, hi, this is Nicki Keohohou. I'm so happy that you called. I'll leave your name and number, and as soon as you can, I'm going to get back to you as soon as I'm done playing. Talk to you later. Bye. That's an I person. That's an influential person. So you probably can't leave a message like this. Well, this is Lisa. I would like to talk to you. I have time next Tuesday between 3 and 4. They will just like turn you off. That's not going to work. So make sure you adjust for the other person. I say it's up to us to adjust. Make a connection. Have you ever been with people and you thought, man, there's no connection here? I'm not feeling the love. This isn't working for me. If you've ever sat at a fountain, when I was a little girl, we had a little drugstore and there was a fountain there. And whenever we went to the dentist, we got a 5-cent ice cream cone. Now that dates me a little bit. And it also tells you they weren't maybe really big on nutrition. But anyway, we'd go across the street and go to that little bar, and we'd jump up on that little stool and sit there. And if the person to this side doesn't talk to you, and the person at this side doesn't look at you, you're kind of not in rapport. And especially if you said, hi, my name is Nicki, and they go, you're not in rapport. It takes a little bit of effort to make a connection, but you can feel it. I know you can when you're not in rapport. So that power of the first impression, I got to tell you, people make decisions about you in the first 60 seconds. That isn't very much time, folks. 60 seconds for somebody to decide if they want to get to know you better. So if you're out and about, look like you're in business. If you're selling skincare, be taking care of your skin. You know, they want to like you. Most people want to like somebody else and hope that they'll like them. But that first impression, you may not get a chance for a second one. So we want to build rapport and be prepared somewhat. So if you know that you're going to go to some sort of a trade show and walk around to the booths, be interested in the person to make a better first impression. Be interested in who you're talking with. Again, people find you interesting when you're interested in them. So be interested. You'll make a much better first impression. Learn to listen. Connect with them that way. Smile and have positive body language. So, a smile says a lot. Lions smile to show courage. Well, I think it's kind of like that. They show their teeth to show courage. Well, for people, you look like you're a little bit more brave if you smile. You look like you have a little more caring about other people if you smile. And, sometimes people think, well, my teeth aren't so good, so I don't want to smile. Doesn't matter. They're not looking at if your teeth are perfectly straight or pearly white. They're looking at, she's connecting with me. He cares about me. So a smile is an important thing. Positive body image. And your language, you're late would not be a good way to start off an appointment with somebody. Um, you know, I see people, you know, not sending the most positive image. In the old days, we used to say somebody that does this is totally closed off or they're cold, but it could also mean they're just holding up their boobs. And I mean, that is a possibility, not for me, but for others, it could be. So you don't know. You can't just count on body image as what it is and body language. Listen, ask questions, and talk. Be engaging. Lean in. Now, one time I did this Zoom and I was really into what I was saying, so I was really leaning in. And my sister happened to have been on that one, and she sent me a little text and it said, "Your head looks like a basketball. Back off." So sometimes on Zoom it doesn't work the same way, but when you're with a person in person, you lean in, you look interested. People find you interesting when you are interested in them. So be interested. Be interested and make sure that you look open to possibilities, that you look into the person's eyes, that you're not all over the place checking your phone. Turn your phone off when you go into that meeting. Turn your phone off when you're standing in the store. If I see somebody that I think looks interesting and I want to make a connection with that person, I'll turn my phone off before I walk over there, turn the ringer off. Because if I have to look at that phone, I broke eye contact with that person, which also means that I broke the connection. So body language, smiling is a critical component. Practice heart-centered listening. This is all to build this relationship. This is all to build the rapport. Heart-centered listening is being 100% present with whoever you're talking to. 100% present. You understand the meaning behind the words. You are focused on them. You not just hear the words. Like when how's your day going? Oh, fine. Sounds like it might be a little challenging for you today. You heard them. You heard them. And I think that is a big need in our world today. We're so fast paced, moving so quickly. Someone says, "How are you doing?" And you just keep on walking and you say, "Fine," keep on moving. Make connections with people. How many of you want people to remember you? You want them to know you. You want them to know you care. Slow down a little bit in life. I have a saying I've used for 100 years. You got to slow down so you can speed up. You've got to slow down and notice what's going on around you. Taking time to think, taking time to connect. You do that, I'm just telling you, your whole life will fall into place in a very different manner. So learning to listen and just being present. Clear out the clutter. I've heard people say they meet people and they're thinking in their head, "Oh, I hope she says yes to whatever I'm going to ask her. I hope she really wants this facial. I hope that she really will stop biting her nails and buy my nail strips. I hope that we got all these things going. Or she doesn't look like she has any money. Now that I get up close, her shoe has a hole in it, so she's probably not going to buy anything anyway." That's the clutter. That's called internal listening. When we got all that clutter going on, we can't be present with people. It doesn't work. So to practice heart-centered listening, You really slow your mind down a little bit and just be present. Don't be thinking about what your next question is that you're going to ask them or what you're going to say next. Don't worry about that. Just be with the person. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So, finding common ground with somebody. Maybe you're in jewelry sales and this woman has on a beautiful necklace, and you say, "Oh, what a beautiful necklace." I've never seen one quite like that. Oh, my mom gave it to me. Oh, it must be very special to you. I love jewelry too. Now be careful. You found a connecting point. Do not make it about you. An autobiographical response. Sometimes when we find common ground, well, I have 2 children. I have 3. I'm just going to one up you here. I have 3. And let me tell you, they're all so cute. And I have one that's 7 and one that's 9 and one that's 16. And they play sports. Oh, they aren't going to listen to that. Ask about their kids. Ask about what school do they go to. Something to build that relationship. All of this is creating connection, creating rapport, creating a desire to get to know you and you to get to know them. It isn't manipulation. People use a lot of skills to manipulate other people. I I can kind of see through those people pretty quickly because everything tends to be about them after they got you. The hook is in, reel them in. No, just keep it being about them. It's like you have a light in your hand, you keep shining the light on them. That's how you make connection. So find a common ground and then take it back to them. Very important factor here. Now, you want to ask open-ended questions. Avoid those closed-ended questions. Open-ended questions start with who, what, when, where, how. Closed-ended questions are ones that can be answered with a yes or a no. So, would you like to have a party? Pretty good chance at this stage she's going to say no. And then where do you go? You know, uh, have you got a lot of jewelry? Oh, I have way too much. I just don't know what to do with everything I got. Well, where are you going to go with that? So, don't ask questions that lead to nowhere. Closed-ended questions do not build rapport, do not create a relationship. So those are the words you don't want to be using when you're trying to get an appointment with someone. Will you have time this Friday? No, I've got a very full day. Then you got to keep going through different dates. So that's not what we're going to do. So let me show you how to move closed-ended questions into open-ended questions. You put one of those who, what, when, where, how words in front of that. What what can you do? Or where are you on your path to filling your jewelry box? Or, how important is your skin to you if you're selling skincare? When will you have some time this week? I'd love to get together with you again. You move those words. When you know that you got a big, are you ready to get started? That coming out of your mouth? Nuh-uh. We want to get the appointment. How do you get the appointment? By having rapport, by having people know that you care about them, by having something that they can receive from you, whether that's a gift, whether that's knowledge, whether that's that they feel good about themselves, whether that is that a new friend. What is it that they can receive from you that would make them want to have an appointment? Today we're fighting for time, folks. Everybody's time is busy, full, lots going on. So to get an appointment, you got to have made some sort of connection with that person that they want to be around you or learn something from you or try your product or whatever it is. So that connection in this first conversation with them is how that happens. So identify their needs. Identify their needs and their pain points. So what is it that is not working for them? Now, sometimes this is hard to do in a store and you've got a lot of people around you and so on. You're not maybe going to get this far. But if you understand their pain point, maybe you sell cosmetics or skincare, and you see a lady at the skincare counter and you walk out and you know, what do you know about that product? Oh, I've been using it. How's it working for you? Oh, it's okay. It's really expensive. So you're learning things, you're gathering information so that you can serve them, so that you know what it is. So maybe this person's pain point is the price. Maybe this person's pain point is it just hasn't done the trick with her face. It still looks like a roadmap and she wants to get rid of that roadmap. I don't know what it is, but it is try to get to that point if you can. You know, what's most important to you around skincare? You know, what things matter to you the most around your skin? Um, or around your health, especially if we have nutrition people on this call. And, you know, what matters most to you around your health? Maybe you're in the grocery store and you see, I see you're buying lots of fruits and vegetables. You must have a very healthy family. Oh, I try to make sure that they're healthy. They just don't always take all the good food. They want junk food all the time. So you're learning about them. Don't be afraid to ask that question. You're not prying, you're not going to be offensive. You're just understanding. It's called being gracefully assertive. Being gracefully assertive. Doesn't mean you're aggressive and in their face. You're brave in that you want to make connections. You know, I was a really shy kid, very shy as a young person, and I had a lot of older siblings and younger too, but they were all very smart, and I didn't think I was that smart, so I didn't raise my hand in school. I stayed in the background, and I realized when I got into direct selling into the field that I got to get past this thing, or I'm never going to go anywhere. And so I decided, what could it hurt to just be nice to people? How could I make somebody's day by just noticing them, speaking to them? These are good self-coaching questions. You're that person that doesn't want to be pushy and you don't want to talk to people you don't know. How could I make a difference for somebody today when I go out? How could I make somebody feel good about themselves? You know, I really make an effort on that with homeless people, especially because people don't even look at them and they cross the street and go on the other side. I look at homeless people and I say, "Good morning," and I smile, and they're like shocked that you said hello to them. And I've never had anybody jump up and hit me over the head. So just practice with not just practice in all different situations. Start going out this week when you go to the grocery store. Just start looking people in the eye and saying good morning. You know, I you look like a happy person. What makes you so happy? I've said that to people and they go, I only had one person say a weird thing to me. I don't know if I should say it. You can edit this part out. One person said, I finally had sex with my husband. That was a little too much information for me, but that's a true story. But mostly people say things like, oh, I got to see my girlfriend today, or my mom called me today, or, you know, it just takes a second. They think you're an interesting person when you're gracefully assertive. Just look at people and notice. Notice the beauty around. Notice the sales clerks. When you go into a store, say, wow, did you do this display? Yeah, I did. Oh, or I've said, who did this display? I did this display. Wow, it is attractive and it makes people want to come see what's in here. Have you always been doing this? Yeah, but I don't really like it. I'd rather be doing something else. What would you rather be doing? You follow the thread of what's being said and identify their needs and their pain points and support them to kind of work through that, because it's pretty exciting when you get to know people better. Understand their goals and challenges. So the lady that's in the store that says, "This is not really what I want to do." Well, what would you like to be doing? Anything besides standing on my feet for 12 hours a day. Ah, you know, I might have a thought for you or an idea for you. I'd love to get together with you and just talk about this. I know more about what you're looking for. I might be able to be of support to you. Oh, okay. So we make an appointment. I know when I'm saying all this, it sounds easy. And I know you're thinking, well, that doesn't happen to me. People don't even respond. Nobody talks back to me. Nobody says anything. They just walk on. Eh, First smile, look them in the eye, look interested, and even wait. Sometimes I just pause for them to say something. And if they don't, I'm still pausing. But very few people don't say. A good place to practice, by the way, is on an airplane. That person's trapped. They aren't going to jump. They're not going to walk off for sure. So just practice. Just be interested in them and see what it's like. You never know till the end. That's why I always, when I flew on Southwest, I left the middle seat open. My husband sat on the outside. I sat on the inside. We left the middle seat open so I could find an interesting person. They'd always sit there. Sometimes they're the crabbiest person, and I would practice seeing if I could turn that around. It, it's kind of like a game to see who you can connect with, who you can make their day brighter for. It really doesn't take a lot of effort, but when you care, it's pretty interesting what happens. People like to do that. I had a comment here. Thank you, Mary Lisa. She said, make a phone appointment or in person, whatever you can get. You know, what would be most convenient for you? In person is always going to be the better opportunity. Why? Because in communication, 7% of the message is the words. 38% of every message is how you speak those words. 55% of every message is what you're doing with your body. So if you got your body under control and you're not shaking your head no and asking for a yes, in person is always going to be the best. You have a better chance to build rapport, and you probably have a little more time. But you want to clarify that when we go to getting the appointment. I'll talk a little more about that. So understand what they're looking for. How can you be of support to them? Sometimes it's a new person in town, and that new person in town doesn't even know where to go to look for things or do things. Sometimes I'll just say, "Oh, you're new to town. What are you looking for that you haven't found yet?" And then share with them something. Lead with service. Lead with service to that other person. Understand what they're looking for. Ask, find out what the problem is. So we ask problem solving questions, questions that may solve their problem. The lady in the store that's trying to buy all these vegetables and this is a good one. A watermelon. I love watermelon. It happens to be one of my favorite fruits. But everybody looks at watermelons, and very few people know how to pick a watermelon. You know, my mom taught me, listen for a certain sound, and you do this, or you can smell like cantaloupes and things. But some woman that's standing in the store that is looking puzzled. Are you looking for a good watermelon? Yes. I'll share a little tip that my mom taught me. And then I tell them, and I demonstrate. And they go, golly, they're kind of thinking, what? This person knows some things. Maybe there's something else I could learn from her. What did that take? 5 minutes? And maybe not. Maybe she says, well, I got my watermelon. I'm leaving now. I don't know. Maybe she's going to be a poop. I don't know. But most times I build a relationship with people I meet like that. And I know them for years. So it's just taking a couple extra minutes. So ask those questions that will help solve their problems. And, you know, you don't want somebody to tell, oh, my husband's beating me and, I broke my leg and I You don't want to hear everything about the world that's wrong in their life. If somebody did that to me, I'll say, what one thing is going well for you right now? Shift, interrupt the pattern, and go to a different place. People that stay in that negative place, they just keep repeating the bad videos and play it over and over, and whoever they're giving it to lets them do it. So if they are having a challenge and we want to get them out of that challenge, and what are you doing about that? These are simple little ways just to build these relationships. You can present solutions. Now, this is not coaching. When you're presenting solutions, you're not coaching. You are actually moving somebody. So the problem is, oh, I'm trying to find a skincare. She's running around in that whole skincare, going to department. Man, if I was selling skincare, I'd be in that department for sure. And they're going to all these different departments and say, oh, I noticed you've been here a long time. What are you looking for? Oh, my skin is so dry and I just can't find anything that will work. So what's important to you in your regime, in your skincare regime? Well, the moisturizer. And what else do you use in your regime? Well, that's it. I use a bar of soap and moisturizer. So what do you think is happening with your skin? But the person behind the counter could have figured this out if they'd had any kind of training. But so I'm helping her to get her own solution. That's always best. But if not, I have something that might be able to take care of that for you. I'd love to get together with you and so you can experience something that does work. That's offering a solution. The word experience is a good word choice because it means I actually am feeling it too. So then we transition to the appointment. Now, the key in getting an appointment, you can't say, I can do it any day, anytime. I'm available 24/7. That person is thinking she is not successful. This is not somebody I want to do business with. So here's a couple of things that you can use to transition to the appointment. It's when would be a good day for us to connect? You have, and you bring out your phone or whatever, or your calendar, your date book, whatever you have, so that they can see that you have a full life. And I just need to say this here because I hear people say this all the time. I'm so busy. I'm so busy. It's a whole different speak when you say, I have a full life. So when they say, well, when do you have time? Oh, I'm so busy. That doesn't sound like a happy person to me. I have a full life and I have some time on Tuesday or Thursday. So if I'm trying to get this appointment and I say morning or afternoon, or which of those days is best for you or better for you? Tuesday. So morning or afternoon? Afternoon. You bring out your calendar. You look at your calendar or look at your phone on your calendar. Would 10 o'clock or 12 o'clock on that morning be good for you? 10 o'clock's better. And here's some verbiage for you. I'll block that time off right now in my calendar, and I'm going to commit it to you. Will you do the same? I'll block that time off in my calendar and commit it to you. Will you do the same? Which, I'd love to get to be with you in person so you actually could physically experience these products. What part of town do you live in? Oh, I live just around the corner. Oh, I don't live far either. Connection point. I don't live far either. I could either go to your house or you could come to mine. Which is better for you? Always. Which is better for you? Which is better for you? You're concerned about their well-being. All this is building that connection. And he says, well, it'd be better for me because I've got, a lot going on at my house. It's under construction. Could I go to yours? Certainly. Now, you want to have things professionally set up. You might have 10 kids, but try and get them to go somewhere or somebody to come over and take care of them in the backyard. But look as professional as possible if they're going to come to your house, or you could go to a neutral place, some place that you think would be a good neutral location. But anyway, when they come to your house, you got everything set up and you're, oh, how much time you talked about that in advance? I'll block off an hour. Can you commit that much time? You know, she might say no. How much time can you commit is a better question. I can commit a half an hour. Okay, that's going to tell you what is most important for you to find out in that appointment. Because in that appointment, if she's only got 10 minutes, I probably wouldn't make the appointment for then. I'd find a time when she'd have at least a half an hour. But in that half an hour, I would want to hit the high points for her. So what is your greatest challenge with your skincare? Dryness. What do you think that's due to? Well, I think it's because I'm not really cleansing. I'm just using a bar of soap. All right, so cleanser would be something important to you. And what else matters most? Moisturizer. Oh, and my. So that's all another thought that you can, go through. Am I cutting out? I just had something come up on my screen that, oh, good. Well, it wasn't me. I'm happy. Okay, so get the main things that you keep the main thing, the main thing. You want to know what's going to happen at that appointment. Now you've got the appointment. I'm putting your number in here. If anything goes wrong and I'm not able to make it, I will definitely call you. Will you do the same? So you don't just sit there and wait for them. You're setting up some boundaries. And it's also saying, I have a full life. And I don't just sit around and wait for people. And that's a good thing. So then share your plan to follow up. Follow up is important. Select a time and how you'll connect. What is the best way for me to follow up with you? Text is the best way. If you don't know how to text, go get a 10-year-old, because I'm going to tell you, you've got to follow up with what's best for them. And if phone call is best, if an email is best, whatever it is, you go by what's important to them. So I'll send you a text the night before and just say that I blocked that time off and I'm excited to meet you. And as a little reminder, but I know you've got it in your calendar here, so I'm happy about that. This is my full-time career. So I really, with the time I have available, I make appointments and use that time for those appointments. So I appreciate you honoring that. It's follow up, and even after the appointment, follow up is a critical piece. Just because they didn't buy something today doesn't mean that you don't follow up. Just because they didn't enroll in your business today doesn't mean that you don't follow up. That says I'm interested in you, not on what you can do for me. I'm interested in you. So share how you're going to follow up so that they are ready. So there's a lot of different things that I went over today, a lot of different thoughts. And I'm going to ask you for your aha. You can unmute yourself and share what is your aha for today. What it was the most valuable thing that you learned today? Or that you'll use. You can either unmute or you can write it in the box. Yes.
Nikki, I liked the watermelon analogy because you're always going to the grocery store, right?
Yes.
And it's a little late for watermelon right now, but it's a good thing. I like that.
Finding a connection point. Finding a connection point and being of service to them. That's a good thing. And is it Nada?
Yeah, I love it when you said I have a really full life. It sounds actually like I want that too. But when you say I'm really, really busy, people don't want that. Right? So it's actually, I don't know, I found it very intriguing. I'm like, oh my God, that sounds so cool.
Yes. It's interesting. By the way, I've used that a lot. Because I feel like that. I have a full life. I have my grandchildren. I have everything that I love and my work and my husband, and I have a full life. So but don't tell people you're busy because they think you don't have time for them, which is not good.
For them. Yeah.
Yeah. When you have more than
awesome. Thank you.
Yes, when you have more than two choices, which is best for you? When you have two choices, which is better for you? That's something. It's about them. Very good. Thank you, Deb, for sharing that. And can you repeat that? I'll block off that time. Absolutely. I'll block off that time in my calendar and commit it, and use the word commitment because commitment's tied to integrity. That's an important word to use. I'll block that time off in my calendar and commit it to you. Will you do the same? That's asking for a commitment. And when they use that word, they know you're looking for integrity. I put these skills into practice today, checking out of a store and have a coffee date with a former civil engineer who is now working retail. She is retired and misses people. I learned a lot about her by asking simple questions. Thank you, Miss Amanda, for sharing that. I had another question up here that someone asked, could I use shapewear in one of my examples? Thank you. I love you shapewear people, and I love being at your convention this year. That was very fun. So shapewear. So if you see someone in the undergarments, for example, what would I say? I wouldn't want to. I used to work with a shapewear company in Australia, and the girls, every time I went there, they'd pull my shirt back. Are you wearing a number 321? You know, that I would not suggest you do that in the store. You'll probably get kicked out. So, what could you say to someone on shapewear? You know, I might be able to help you. What specifically are you looking for? Oh, I'm looking for a comfortable bra. You know, oh, I can understand that. It's not good when they're not comfortable. I know that. That I don't know what all they have here, but that's something I might be able to support you with. I work with a shapewear company. Now that's a little more gracefully assertive, probably than the other example, but anytime, you know, you can get an appointment is because you want to get to know them better, or you want to you know, be a support to them. They're new in the community, or you'd like to get your kids together. Any of those different kinds of things will matter to get people to see your intent. So I like the reminder detail about using open-ended questions. Good that we all can have that reminder. Harriet said, I like being gracefully. I like, where are you here? I like being gracefully assertive. I'm glad because it makes you feel good that that's who you are. You're not afraid. You're not timid. You're not going to hold back. Do you find you do the bra dance every day? Oh, that's for one of the shapewear people. Do you do the bra dance every day? Oh gosh, I'll block off time and commit it to you. Would you do the same? Thank you. I'm glad that you like that. And I'm happy that you had some ahas today because there's a lot of things that could make a significant difference in your business for you to get those appointments because we've got to get in front of more people. I've had people say recently, I'm not getting a lot of new consultants. And so how many appointments are you setting per week? Lisa said, I like the pattern interrupt tool to redirect to a positive thing. What is one thing going well for you today? What was one blessing that you had today? There's a lot of things you can do to move through that. I want to share with you a class that's coming up where you're going to get even more. It's a 2-part mini course, and it's called Disc for Life. So you're going to learn about sponsoring and sharing products and understanding people by understanding their behavioral style. If you go to dswa.org/DFL, Disc for Life, or go to the events page on the DSWA website, you'll learn more. It's an inexpensive course, a great tool for you to really get this down. See, like I pretty well can tell the style of somebody in about probably 15 seconds, especially if they talk, especially if they move or walk. I can learn a lot about people, but I didn't when I first joined. I didn't know when I first got started in direct selling. I didn't understand this. And then I had somebody teach me, and it was the reason they taught me was so that I could manipulate people to do what I wanted them to do. And I don't want it to be that way. So, okay, somebody said, and this is a good answer, I like those examples, but I don't feel like they work in real life. Can you give your feedback? So give me the example that you thought didn't work. And DISC is it's an understanding of behavioral styles. Somebody asked that. What does DISC stand for? It's different behavioral styles. People that are, and that's good. That was good feedback, because somebody else doesn't understand that they won't know when they see this social media post. It's a technique to understand people so that you are able to serve them better. There's 4 different styles. Go back and listen to the recording. You'll get it probably tomorrow, which will be really good for you. Each letter stands for: D is for dominance, I is for influential, S is for steady, and C is for cautious. So, and you'll see that in the recording too. So the example from Svetlana, can you please type in the example that you thought didn't work? Or that if you want to speak up, I'd love to hear from you, because we use this time. The school, we really try to, the classes we try to keep to about half an hour, but I generally stay on. S is for steady. Thank you, Mary Lisa.
Hi.
Hi. So give me the example that didn't work for you.
So I had trouble logging in, so I just cached the last part, but anything you say sounds so smooth, but I feel like it's not me, and I struggle with like finding ways to talk to people. And I like your examples, but I feel like I know it's probably trying to practice those words, but also like, how do you always come up with this ideas and this like finding what they want and then sounding authentic with the words you learned? As you can maybe tell, English is not my first language, but I feel like, I don't know, anything you said, it sounds good, but be yourself. Yes. But being myself is not, yeah, I share and share, and it's just not, I sold a lot of things, but I just go into debt. I don't sell because I don't like selling, so I try to share stories, but that doesn't work either. So anyways, I don't know if you know what I'm saying.
I understand what you're saying, and thank you so much for speaking up, because I'm certain there are other people that kind of feel that same way. So I'm going to hold that for 1 minute, hold that thought, and I want to just draw your attention to how to connect with us. Easy, go to dswa.org, and you can sign up for a free newsletter, come to all these free classes. Every month we do a free class. You can go to the events page, see what else we have going on. A lot of benefits to DSWA, but I wanted to show you that. And now I'm going to go out and I'm going to look at, just a second. I'm going to stop share, and I'm going to bring everybody up in the screen, because I want to see you as I talk to you, which will help me here. So first of all, who was that was speaking up? Was that you, Svetlana?
Yes.
Oh, good. First of all, I thought you were very articulate and you spoke very well. So you can't really tell that it's your second language. You must be practicing somewhere. And then I will share with you that I too was not very confident in my speaking as a young person. And when I started in direct selling, I was so uncomfortable when I just had to say my name. By the way, try saying Keohohou when you're nervous. It's not a good thing. It really isn't. So I would just panic. So I figured out that I needed to take some risks. So we live in our comfort zones. Everybody, we all live in our comfort zones because it's comfortable and warm and fuzzy in there. When you enlarge your comfort zone, you take risks and you try things that maybe you're not very comfortable with. And so practicing is good. So what I started doing when I got into direct selling is I volunteered to take opportunities to maybe open a meeting or greet people at the door, or doing little baby steps. So I became more and more comfortable with speaking in front of people. And I know when something is your second language, it's like you think maybe people don't understand you. but that isn't the case with you. And if they don't understand you, they'll probably tell you they don't understand you. So what can you do, Svetlana, to enlarge your comfort zone? What can you do to get better at just connecting with people?
I already work with people that I hold conversations, and I'm volunteering with kids. So that's like stepping out of my comfort zone and always like finding an opportunity to talk to people outside. My friend was visiting from Germany and she's like, "Why? You find the opportunity to talk to anyone." I'm like, "Well, I have to step out of the comfort zone."
So you choose to enlarge your comfort zone.
Yeah.
You choose that. So as you choose that more often, what do you think will happen?
I guess you get more comfortable.
You get more comfortable. So it gets a little easier. So everybody ask yourself this question: what small step could I take today that would enlarge my comfort zone? I don't want you to say risk. What risk could I take today? Because then it feels risky. But what small step could I take today to enlarge my comfort zone? And watch what happens. What's the worst possible thing that could happen if you walked up to somebody that you saw in the park? Your kids are playing in the park, her kids are playing in the park, and you walked up to her and started talking. You can deal with the worst possible thing that can happen. It might be a good idea to try that. So what is she going to do? Hit you with her handbag? I don't think so. Most people don't do stuff like that. You watch them for a minute and you know who they are. So just start to enlarge that comfort zone with just baby steps. And some people say making it small talk with people. I don't call it small talk because it's big to us and it could be big to the other person. So what can I do to engage with other people? What can I do to honor other people? Kids are a good way to do that. I'm telling you, I love to go to the park with my grandbabies because I always meet interesting people there. I'll say, "Oh, are those two your children?" "Yes, those are my kids." How old are they?" Da, da, da. I haven't seen you in the park before. Do you come here very often? I just ask questions to get to know them. And then they start asking me. People find you interesting when you are interested in them. How interesting can you be? My English is fabulous. Thank you, Svetlana. It is my first language, but I live in Hawaii and we have what we call pidgin English over here. And I taught my kids English from, not pidgin English, from the time they were little, so they've never spoken pidgin English either. Pidgin English is a combination of Hawaiian, Chinese, Japanese, Tongan, Samoan, Korean, all these different cultures blended together. And it does sound weird. Like we go, "Hey, brother, where you go today?" Instead of, "Hi, I haven't met you yet. Where are you going?" Very different. Anyway, not that it's bad, but I want people to respond. So keep practicing the skills, a small little step every day, a small start on every meeting. Thank you for writing that in, Joan. That was very encouraging to Svetlana too. Anybody else with a question or a comment or a thought or something that you have a fear around or that you're just uncomfortable with or that you just aren't sure of?
One thing that helped me, Safana, when I started out years ago, I was very shy too, but I was friendly though. I smiled all the time. I just didn't initiate conversation. So you had to speak to me first. But after I had get into a business where I have to speak, then what I even teach the consultants in my unit is when you're out every day, just speak to somebody, not about the business, just speak. And when you're standing in the grocery line and someone's in front of you, instead of looking at your phone, when they turn around to look, they're standing to say, something as simple as, the line's long again. And they'll say, "Yes, it is." Anything to pick up a conversation and not mention your business just to get you out of the out of your comfort zone to
Yeah.
constantly speak, because even if you stop it, you lose it. You know, you can easily retreat back into whom you were if you don't keep up the exercise, in other words.
You know, Harriet, it is so true. It's like just take those baby steps. You know, my grandkids, I have all different, from very, very gracefully assertive to shyer, and the quieter ones, I have them talk when we go into the store, and they talk to the representative or whatever. So if they want that, then you've got to talk to them and tell them about that. So they get used to it. It becomes part of them. And so start with your kids. Don't wait till they're adults and they're trying to figure this out. I guess that's what I'm saying here. Yeah. Thank you, Harriet. Anybody else with a thought, a comment, or something that you're concerned about or that you don't understand? Hannah, nice to see you here today. I see a lot of faces now and people that I recognize that are back. I'm glad you came back again. The phone is creating a bit of social, people and children, even the children all have phones. It is so true. It's causing people to stop communicating. They'll text before they'll talk. Put the phone away. It is important for us to learn to speak to people. It's important for children learn to speak out to people. So we've got to model that for the kids and grandkids in our lives so that they get that talking is going to be important. You know, I ask, if you want something, you've got to ask for it. Otherwise, you're just going to keep wanting and wanting and wanting. And, you know, but the example, Mimi, I really want that dolly. If you really want that dolly, what are you willing to do to get that dolly? So I'm teaching them about work. That, you know, I'll sweep the sidewalk. It's because I told them a story. When I was a little girl, my grandma would give me a nickel to sweep the sidewalk. So man, I was over there every day wanting to sweep the sidewalk to get that nickel. And one day she didn't have a nickel. She goes, well, I don't really have a nickel, but I have a prune. So she gave me a prune for sweeping the sidewalk. So I'm just telling you, you've got to really, Mimi was my name, not Nini, but Mary Lisa said they call you Nini. No, they call me Mimi. Anyway, it was interesting because now they preface what they're wanting and how they're going to do it, and to make sure that if it's a paid job, that I don't have prunes. Some children have hysterics if they can't get the latest phone, as shown on media with the new release of Apple phone, getting realistic life skills. See, I would never start my kids with the most current phone. I would get them an oldie moldy, so they'd be just happy that they had a phone, and then to work towards something else, you know. But this is not a parenting class, but I can tell you everything that we teach in Coach School is also how to parent. It really is how to be better in our life. Mary Lisa, you have your hand up. Did you want to ask a question?
I was just going to say my children called my mom Nini, N-I-N-I, and I thought that's what you said.
Oh gosh, that would have been
Brought
fun.
back huge memories.
That's nice. Yeah, we have a Mimi's jewelry store in our town, but it's not me. Just in case you come here, you won't get jewelry from me. Sorry about that. Anybody else? Raise your hand or speak up or type it into the box. I'm just glad that you stayed tonight and that you had you learned something and that you're happy you came. That's what matters to me. You get results. How many of you feel like talking to strangers is scary to you or is not comfortable at all? You know, we tell our kids don't talk to strangers, and then we wonder why they don't want to talk to strangers when they get older. You know, How do you meet new people? You don't know them, so you got to talk to them eventually. But anybody that is a discomfort to you?
Many years ago, Nikki.
And who is that?
That's Pauline. I'm Pauline.
Thank you, Pauline. Many years ago. How did you get through it, Miss Pauline?
Many years ago, yeah. Again, we're talking about the second language. And someone asked me to do something, to stand in front of people and talk. And I said, me, I have a second language, I can't. And I said, why did you ask me? And then she says to me, you know what? You don't know, but you have the gift of the gab. And I actually didn't even realize that, what was she talking about? And then I went home and looked it up. I thought, oh yeah, I do have it.
Interesting. So somebody recognized that in you. See, whenever you can recognize a gift in somebody, really, they may not see it in themselves. They
Yeah.
may not even know they have it, which could be a challenge. Mary Lisa, you got your hand up again. You have a different question? Oh, okay. Take your hand down then, please. Thank you. Talking to people in person is easy for me. Connecting through social media or going live is out of my comfort zone. Okay. So what's the difference? When you're with a person, you're talking with them. Social media, can you see the people or like that? I love it when I can see people. Because I can see your reaction, I can see your interest, I can see, if you're shaking your head, no. Can you pretend they're people that are there if you can't see them? When I first started speaking, I was so afraid that of what was going on. I decided that what I was going to do was just look out into the audience, but not necessarily maybe see the people. But I saw a cabbage sitting on everybody's body. It was like a cabbage head. And I just looked at all those different cabbage heads. They couldn't hurt me. There was nothing that they couldn't throw things that was too far away. So I just thought, what's the worst possible thing that can happen? Maybe they aren't going to understand what I say, but I did my best under the circumstances at that time. That's a way of letting go and forgiving yourself. I did my best under the circumstances at that time, and I thought at the end, what did I do well? What would I do differently next time? So until I got used to it. Now I was in Mexico City at the Coliseum, and I think it holds 50,000 people. It didn't make me uncomfortable at all because they're just people, what are they going to do? They're going to get it or they're not. But here's a thought. It is probably easier if you can see like through Zoom. That is true. But talking to a group of people worries I will mess up. How do they know what you're going to say? They don't. That's what people worry all the time about. Oh, I have to follow the script. Don't worry about following the script. Just talk to the person, because guess what? They don't know what you're going to say. You know more about this product and this service than they do. So what can you do wrong? Now, I guess that somebody said here, Svetlana, you had your hand up again. Did you have a question or a comment?
I don't think I did my hand up.
Okay, then you can take it down. Maybe that was earlier. Harriet, wonderful session. Thank you, Harriet. That was thoughtful. Zoom is easier for most people because you can see them if the people aren't afraid to show up and have their face on there. So I appreciate all of you that came today and showed up. And I know we're over time, and I just loved having this time with you. Hope that you really learned something that you can put into practice. Do it right away. Implement right away. Go to the grocery store tonight if it's not too late. Just talk to people. You'll get better, I promise. You will. You take care. Have a good night. Thank you for your time. And I hope I see you in the DISC class. You'll love being in that class too. Aloha, everyone. Good night.